home practice. Two questions that people ask all the time about a home practice. The first is, what should I do? And I think I addressed that in the last video and the last blog thing that I wrote. So I'm just going to refer you there, go there. That will answer that question. The second, people express it in different ways, but it's essentially something to the effect of, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't look like the video. It doesn't quite feel the same as when we were in class. I'm not doing it in the same order that you do it. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. That's what I want to talk about today. Yeah. What an amazing, powerful thing it is to suddenly and sensually and so much more than intellectually know ourselves alive from the soles of our feet right up through our brains, to get this revelation of the world and the depth of the world around us, the reality of it. It is very much a surging power, energetic pop of reality. It's a wash. It's a baptism. It's a revelation is exactly probably the word that should be used right now. And as we're having those revelations, there's the underlying knowing that we had been missing it, that it wasn't there before. We were not aware of it. We were lost or confused or blind or numb. We were blind. And we start to question if maybe life is always this vibrant, if it is always this palpable and powerful, if maybe we ourselves are this alive. And I think that it becomes confusing because we experience these little moments. We have these revelations through a teaching or through a teacher, or we read about it, or we see these people who can perform these fantastic asana in this interweb thing, or we look at the pictures in Yoga Journal, and we start to think that that is it, that is where the aliveness bit is going to come from, that it's going to take us 15 years of practice, and that we're going to have to recall what it was that the teacher was doing and saying yesterday that made you feel that way, that you're going to have to recreate the pose that you did yesterday, or you're going to have to spend an hour and a half trying to get there. We need to work on that. Yeah, we need to work on that. All yoga practices, whether it be pranayama, meditation, and all the different forms that it takes, asana, every sequence of asana, a study of the texts, the devotional practices, chanting, all of the different things that happen in bhakti yoga. Every single one of them is a path that will bring the practitioner toward contact with the core of the heart, toward that vein of reality, that powerful uprising and washing over of thisness, toward awakeness. Every single one of them. It can be done in 5 minutes. That contact with the core of the heart is in itself healing. It is in itself transformative. It is in itself waking up. This is powerful stuff. You can do it in your house. Avidya. Not seeing. Not awakeness. Not being connected to that reality of life as it is, not having contact with the core of the heart. Avidya. I should write that down for you. It's going to be upside down if I hold it up to the camera. Just avidya. Avidya. All of the ancient yoga texts, all of the, well, everything, it refers to that state of being conflicted, lost, confused, entranced, trapped, bewildered, all of these different things as avidya, as not being able to see, as being blind. Not vidya as in video, to see. The practice of yoga is learning to see in all of the ways see might be connotated. I am afraid that when people start asking questions about how do I start a yoga practice, how do I start a home yoga practice, that we get so caught up in wanting to have a sequence to practice, or wanting to have a pose that we're working toward, of wanting to look at all of the different schedules of committing ourselves, of wanting to lose 5 pounds, of all of these different things. I mean, like, what time of day should I practice? How many times a week should I practice? All of those things are pulling us away from reality, and they are pieces of avidya. So when people ask me for an hour and a half long yoga sequence, I say no, because it's just participating in life in the same way we participate in the rest of our life. And the idea is that your yoga practice is going to be moving away from that and toward reality. You are aiming for reality. So another way you could talk about avidya is just to say that it is that normal, everyday autopilot. All of our stuff, all of our thinking patterns, acting patterns, all of our behaviors, all of our coping skills, all of these cycles. And the thing is that we will, because we're human beings, we will try to practice yoga in the same way we act in the rest of our lives. I'm not trying to sound accusatory here. I'm not trying to shake my finger at you and say you're doing your home yoga practice wrong. I'm just trying to point out that that's what we human beings are going to do, and that is where the suffering is coming from. That is why it's so confusing and conflicting and hard. This attempt to do it on your own is, you're not alone. This is a tradition that goes back billions of human beings, thousands of years. Somebody right around the corner from you is doing it too. You're not alone. It is a process, and when you forget those two little pieces, then you're going to hurt, and your home yoga practice is going to get really hard. So in classes, I frequently caution people. They come in and they're trying to do something that they've never done before, and I can see on their faces all of this self-condemnation and all of this judgment, and maybe judgment toward me or judgment toward yoga in general, just this reaction and imposition on what they're doing, as if they should be able to walk into a class and do a handstand. And that's insane. To think that you would be able to walk in and do something that people spend 20 years, literally, 11 years, 7 years, 20 years perfecting, yet we bring in this idea that I should be able to do this, that's what I have to be able to do in order to get what that person has. That is insanity. That's avidya. And I think what we have this danger of doing, or one of the pitfalls of a home yoga practice, is we kind of do the same insanity. We think that we're supposed to just be able to do what we do in class when we have a teacher who has probably spent 3 hours preparing this sequence and has taught it maybe 5 times before. We assume that we should be able to recreate that on our own, that we should be able to feel exactly what we felt yesterday. If you remember, let yourself remember that the first time you walked into a yoga studio, it was very different than now. Now these things just kind of come to you. There is a learning process. It changes as you go on. That is reality. That is how it works. The same reality applies to your home practice. catch yourself when you start saying things like, I don't know what to do, I'm doing it wrong, this isn't the way that it felt before, this isn't how my teacher would say it, maybe this is the wrong pose for me, maybe this is the wrong asana for me. Catch yourself and recognize that you're imposing avidya. You're imposing the behaviors of avidya on your moment, on your yoga practice. If you can instead approach the moment as it is what it is and appreciate the fact that this is the way that you're going to learn more, and someday your yoga practice, your home yoga practice, is going to be very, very different than it is today, you get to honestly assess, what are you going to do There is this word that I've been very enamored of recently, and it very infrequently comes up in yoga studios, partially because it has to do with Ayurveda. The word is dinacharya. Dina means the now, the present. Charya is, we hear it in a lot of, it's a suffix that is attached to a lot of different things, so it's sometimes in a name, sometimes in a practice. It means to be a follower of, to be committed to the path of. Excuse the motorcycles. So dinacharya is to be a follower of the day, to have an awakening consciousness of the now, of the present reality. A consciousness that is arising from inside, that is a physical reality of the time, of the day, of this is here, and more than that, of the narrative, of the story, of the personal connection that I am moving in today. I am doing something now. I am breathing, I am inhaling, I am exhaling, I am doing my sun salutation. I am flustered because my kids' toys are all over the kitchen and I can't lay out my yoga mat, but I am following the practice of today. Dinacharya, to be a follower of today. Oh shit, train. That's going to be noisy. I'm going to keep going anyway. To be committed to the path that today is. So instead of being like, I have this sequence that I'm going to do, or my yoga practice means I have to lay out the mat and I have to be on it for half an hour and I have to get all the way through the first half of the primary series. Instead of that, it will be so much more effective for your yoga practice if you go sit on your yoga mat and you do child's pose and you take an honest inquiry for 30 seconds of what is today? What are the options for today? What makes today different than yesterday? What is the opportunity that is here today that is not in every other day? You do that, and all of a sudden choice happens. And then whatever you choose to do, it might be, I'm going to get up and leave the yoga mat because I have indigestion from what I ate last night, or my heart hurts so much right now that I don't want to practice, I don't want to move. Whatever it is you're choosing to do, and some days, because you recognize that it's going to be choice, you're going to just be like, I'm going to move for the next 5 minutes, and I'm going to move really fast, and I'm going to move really hard, and I'm going to do sun salutations, and you're going to sweat. Whatever choice you take out of dinacharya, out of an honest assessment of what is it, what is here right now, that becomes yoga practice. What I'm teaching these teenage girls to do right now is to physically feel their heartbeat. To take 1 minute or 2 minutes or however long it is to put their fingers on their jugular, to put their hand on their heart, to maybe feel their wrist. To do one of these things before they leave their bedroom in the morning. Do that. When you can do this, when you can in some way approach the day, approach the moment, approach your heart in the moment, what inevitably happens is that choice, that recognition that there's more, that you're not locked into a sequence because you're locked in. You're gonna do the sequence because you have the choice to do the sequence and you're aware of what it does for you and how much closer it's going to bring you to heart and more choices. It's kind of a flipping of things. It doesn't matter what sequence you do. It just matters that you do something. So, I can't give the ideal, this is the sequence that you should do for your daily practice, because there are too many different students and our contexts are going to change, and you're supposed to keep learning and the sequence is supposed to keep changing. What I can do is say, figure out 5 or 10 different things and do them. It is the doing of them, not the them of them, that is going to change you. And then you change your mind and you'll learn and you'll do more.